Hey buds, Smiley here. Today we're going to be doing a video about building a hero. There's a lot of things to learn and decide at level 1, like with a lot of tabletop RPGs. So we're just going to go over a couple of things and just briefly describe all the concepts here that were on the first couple of levels. We're going to go to level 3 today, since that's the last of the kind of like unique decisions that you make in this game. If you have any other questions about something that's not covered in this video or need a further elaboration, feel free to leave comments in the video or go to our Discord, which will be linked in the description as well. There's plenty of helpful people there, including myself and the devs, the rest of the devs for this game, and we're happy to talk with you about it and help you build the hero of your dreams. So to get started, I'm going to be using our character sheet. I'm going to be building Kid Crash, my OC hero that I came up with a long time ago as a kid, and we've used for We Can Be Heroes. What I'm going to do here, starting first level, this is most involved since you're building a hero from the ground up. That makes sense. So we'll be determining the base talents, superpower, origin, hero traits, all that good stuff. So first thing we're going to do is determine our talent modifiers and our talent score. So in We Can Be Heroes, we have 12 talents, and they're going to fall into physical, intelligence, charisma. Basically, that's how you interact with the world, right? Muscle, for example, would be how likely you are to throw something or pick something up. Science would be, hacking into something, using technology. Intimidation would be trying to scare someone. You get the idea of it, generally. So to start, we're going to roll 1d4 12 times, which seems like a lot. I know it can be a little bit crazy, but it's not too bad once you get into it. But I've already done all that work ahead of time and inserted them here, so we don't have to watch me typing numbers for the rest of the video. And I put a lot for Kid Crash into resilience and showmanship. I actually rolled pretty well. I got a lot of 4s, a couple of 3s, and then pretty much all 2s. So no ones. That's good. What I wanted to do with Kid Crash was to put a lot into resilience to make him very, very difficult to hit, and a lot into showmanship. He's kind of like a kid hero, famous like movie star kid that's kind of washed up now in his older age. So I wanted a lot in showmanship, which is kind of your performance, how well you are to kind of show off, and maybe even convince a civilian that everything's going to be okay. Resilience is how difficult you are to damage, which is kind of his power. I imagined him being, like basically impenetrable skin, so he just crashes into things to succeed. Crashes into enemies through walls, that sort of stuff. So high resilience is going to be good for that. And then I just put everything else kind of as I saw fit, right? Like decent muscle, okay persuasion, not super great intelligence stats. He's not super smart, but ultimately you get those all dialed in, and then you're going to select your hero's superpower. So there are 6 superpower archetypes: strength, agility, intelligence, psychic, particle manipulation, and nature, each with several superpowers to choose from. The way that I've always explained superpowers to people is it's kind of like your class, right? Your superpower archetype is like your class. So you have strength, for example, is what I'm going to pick. And then I'm picking the power Bull Rush. So Bull Rush is like, I'm charging into someone, I'm going to pin them down, I'm going to do damage to them. So that's kind of like my subclass almost for the strength archetype. So someone else could pick, let's say, Big Mad, which is, kind of like you're making yourself super duper angry and you're very, very hard to damage. So it's the same vein as a strength power, but it's not exactly the same power. So it kind of lets you do things a little bit differently, but we're still under that strength archetype bubble. So of course there's plenty of other powers in all of these, but for this one we're going just with Bull Rush. So I'm going to go ahead and add that, and it's not Bull Rush. And I'm going to go ahead and add that onto my sheet at the first tier. That also is going to determine my superpower die. So we're going to detail that it's a D6 as well. And it's a D6. I already did that. Great. So once we've done that, the next thing we do is select an innate ability from your chosen archetype. Now this is cool. Innate abilities are kind of like, they're not always passive, but they usually are passive abilities that you get unique to the superpower archetype. So even if we have different superpowers in the same archetype, like for example, if there's 2 strength characters on the team, you could have even different innate abilities that would even further serve to separate and diversify the team. So I'm going to go with Feeling Dangerous, which is when you drop below 10 HP, you automatically get a +2 DT bonus until your HP is brought back to 10 or higher, which is awesome. DT is your damage threshold, basically the number that the enemy has to exceed to do damage to you. And that's going to be great. I'm already going to be very hard to hit because I have a high resilience. So this is going to make me even harder when I get to low HP, which is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and put Feeling Dangerous in my innate abilities here real quick. And like I said, so innate abilities can be passive. Sometimes they're an active ability that you have. It just depends. But it's a great way to kind of make your character exactly the way that you want to, kind of really dial in the person that you're looking, or the character that you're looking for, the hero that you're looking for, I should say. The next thing we're going to do is choose the hero's origin. And as you could imagine, an origin is what gave your superhero their superpowers, right? Kid Crash is accident experiment, and you get to choose a boon and a bane. So the boon is going to give you a +3 to one of these that you choose, and a bane is going to be a -2 to the one that you choose. And I'm going to choose, my boon is resilience, and my bane is mentality. Resilience. Just going to bring that bad boy up to a 7, which is going to be really good here. Bane of Mentality, unfortunately, brings my mentality score to a 0. And yes, you can have a negative score if you take your Bane into something that has a -1. That's no good, but it can happen. Great. Now that we've got that, this determines your Moxie score, which we'll talk about in just a little bit, but Moxie is definitely very important. We'll get to that. Next, you're going to select a mentor, personal life, personal space, and up to 2 languages. Now, a lot of this seems kind of like it's just role play stuff, and that's true. There is quite a bit of role play into it. For example, personal life and personal space has a little bit of gameplay mechanics, but mentor is really where you're going to get an actual kind of gameplay function there. So any mentor that you choose, you get a conviction and a doubt. Conviction is going to be some type of advantage that your character has, and a doubt is some type of disadvantage, right? So for Kid Crash, I'm choosing the oppressor. So my conviction, my advantage is going to be that I cannot be intimidated, which is cool. My doubt, my disadvantage, is that if I'm in the presence of my mentor, you have disadvantage on all talent checks. That can really come to bite me in the ass, but I think not being able to be intimidated is pretty strong, so I'm going to take that for Kid Crash. All right, now you're going to select your hero trait. So hero trait is a lot like origin, but rather than it being where your hero came from and where their powers came from, it's going to be what they've been doing and what they've kind of become, right? So hero trait here, I chose Kid Hero because Kid Crash is, a famous child actor, Kid Hero. So that's going to give you a couple of things, primarily expertise. So expertise can get a little complicated. Expertise, when you have it in equipment, which I would have expertise in melee weapons and long-range weapons, I get to add my Moxie whenever I make attacks with those types of weapons, any weapon that falls into those categories. Now, when it comes to talents, the expertise does not give me the Moxie in addition to that. It just gives me a +1. That's still pretty good. So for equipment, melee weapons, and long-range weapons, I'm going to go ahead and add that onto my sheet so I know. Long-range weapons. And then I'm going to add my my talents, expertise, persuasion, finesse, and observation. Persuasion, observation, and finesse, I believe. Yes. And then I'm also going to go ahead and update those real quick, because I will forget. And persuade. Awesome. So in addition to the expertise, you also get some starting equipment. I get 1 weapon, 1 gadget, and 1 piece of armor. We'll detail a little bit more about equipment in another video. It can get a little bit more complicated. I think it warrants its own video. But, for example, athlete trait gives you 2 weapons and a piece of armor. You get a vehicle when you're famous. And then in addition to equipment, you also get a public merit focus. So public merit, in a nutshell, is kind of like our unique currency system in We Can Be Heroes, right? It's basically whenever you complete missions and help people, you get points in public merit system that has to do with different factions that occupy the world of We Can Be Heroes. So, for example, corporations is the one that I get my focus in. So, if I was to do a job for a corporation, I'd get public merit points in corporation, and then I could spend that on weapons, gadgets, and various other types of equipment. The focus means that I get extra points every single time that I get corporation points. So if we were to all do a mission for a corporation, for example, me and my entire team, I would get more points than them because of my focus. While alternatively, someone who has the media focus would get more if they do something for the media. So we'll go ahead and put that on our character sheet as well. Now that we've got our hero trait, we're going to start with a max of 2 Hero's Favor, which is great. Hero's Favor is basically like ammunition for your superpower. You, starting at first level, can use it twice per rest that you have, which they do replenish on a rest. And you can read more about that in the book. But basically, Hero's Favor is how you use your main superpower, which mine is Bull Rush. Next, we're going to calculate our Moxie by halving and rounding down the talent you chose as a boon. Now, my boon is Resilience, which is a 7, so half of that's going to be 3. Now, Moxie is an important number to remember. You want to have that guy ready to go because that's going to get added to a lot of things. Damage for your superpower, rolls to hit with weapons and that kind of stuff. So definitely keep Moxie in mind. Next, we're going to calculate our initiative. Which is going to be how quick you are to move in battle, your turn order. And that's going to be our finesse or observation talent modifier, whichever you choose. And mine are the same. So it's going to be a 3 on our initiative here. Nice. Next is your defensive threshold, your hit points, and your vigilance. So real quick, defensive threshold, we talked about it a little bit. It's how hard I am to hit. People have to exceed this number to do damage to me. And that's going to be 10 plus your resilience talent modifier. I have a really high resilience, so my DT is going to be 17, which is awesome. Very high, very good. Now, HP, that's your hit points. Pretty self-explanatory. It's how much health you have. If you take damage, that hit point value goes down. If you go all the way down to 0, you're in bad shape. And that's going to be 20 plus your endurance talent modifier to get started. My endurance talent modifier is 3, so my HP is going to be 23. Easy peasy. 23. And lastly, we're going to want to determine our vigilance. Vigilance is basically how likely you are to observe and detect someone who's trying to sneak by you. It's part of the stealth mechanic. And that's going to be 20 plus our observation. And I believe my observation is 3. Yep. 3. So it's going to be also 23. And that's level 1. Next, when we get to level 2, we're going to be selecting an Aux Power. Now, Aux Powers are really cool. I like them a lot. Aux Powers are abilities that are, for the purposes of our book, separated into things like combat boosts, things to your equipment, movement, that kind of stuff. But these aren't locked behind any sort of archetype. These are available to basically anybody. So you could have an entire team spec into one ability. So everyone could take Foosh, for example, and gain 1 free movement speed of 1 zone, which is pretty cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to select Brawler since I'm not going to be using weapons as Kid Crash. So successful unarmed attacks deal 1d8 blunt damage. That's pretty good for an unarmed attack, which is going to make him a little bit better in the damage department. So I'm going to go ahead and put Brawler in there. We're also going to add a d10 plus our endurance talent modifier to our max HP. We don't have to necessarily roll that here for the sake of brevity. And your max favor is going to increase to 3. So that's going to be important. And at level 3, we select our secondary power. Now, secondary powers is the kind of the final step in diversifying your hero. These are powers that we didn't want to make an entire main superpower because they just weren't kind of available to that, or they didn't really flow super well. Like for Flight, for example, which is coincidentally the one that I'm taking. And there's Kid Crash right there. Thanks, Max Bear, for the beautiful drawing. But Flight doesn't really, I think, serve itself to a main superpower. You want it to be a little bit more of a big, impactful ability. So having a secondary power of Flight is pretty great. You can just, as soon as you take it, you may fly vertically or horizontally by spending AP as if you were spending it for movement. So you can choose any of these secondary powers that you want and get the very first tier level 1 here at level 3. So we're going to go ahead and add Flight onto our character sheet. There we go. And then we're going to go ahead and add 1d10 plus our endurance talent modifier to max HP, all that. And then we just keep going as much as we want to level. So that's most of the stuff that we have. As we keep going down the line, you'll get your superpower advancement, which will allow you to increase the tier of your superpower. So for example, when I hit level 5, I'll be able to target 2 enemies in the same zone instead of just 1, which is pretty cool. You can also spec into a different superpower. So if I wanted to take a tier of Groundbreaker, for example, I could basically multi-class. So I'd have tier 1 of Groundbreaker, tier 1 of Bull Rush, for example. And that's pretty cool. The only downside is that I won't have access to my ultimate power if I was to hit level 20. If I'm multi-class, I could only get up to tier 5 and 1, or tier 1 and 5 of them. So it's something to consider when you're thinking about multi-classing. But other than that, you'll get some more innate abilities, some more Aux Powers, advancements on your secondary power, and all that stuff. So from there, it's pretty easy. It's just picking upgrading the stuff that you have, and maybe picking a couple of extra things. Hopefully that answers some questions for you. Hopefully it makes it a little easier to build a character. I know that I've built quite a few characters on through We Can Be Heroes lifetime here, making this game, and it's fun every single time, I gotta say. But if you have any other questions that I didn't answer here, or you wanted a video about something specific, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video, or again, reach out to us on our Discord. We're on there all the time, and we're always looking for feedback on how to make this the best game possible and how to best provide content for you guys. So definitely let us know if you want to see something. Well, that about does it for this video. So I've been Smiley, and I'll see you next time.